Why am I always first?
Andrew, that's why. I'd say this is looking really like nighttimey.
I was thinking since it's nighttime that the lights would probably be off.
But why
Do
is
you
it
think
nighttime?
they're well, not nighttime, but nap time?
Oh, like I would
Like the
still I would lighten it up a little. It looks a little like noirish almost.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Like even though the lights are off, there'd probably be more light coming into
Yeah,
the
there'd be
room.
more light in there because otherwise the kids would all be screaming like
They're afraid of the dark.
I'm looking for somebody to pick on.
Hit me with your worst, Mike.
Huh?
Oh wait, yeah, right around there.
Yeah, you wanted to pick on someone.
I'm still trying to figure out Andrew's elaborate setup there. I still don't understand that. Trying to
What
figure
elaborate setup?
Oh, somebody just got home. Okay, but there'd be more light spilling in there, right?
Yeah. So does that mean I can push like the darks, like the shadows, if I do this?
You got to be careful because, yeah, you do want to push some of the darks, but
not all the darks.
But not like crazy dark.
Okay.
Because that's kind of what people do usually. Because usually you get, I mean, I had teachers like this, and they'd go, you got to push your dark, and they almost push you to push your darks to almost black, and it's like, dude, that's jumping way too far in the value system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I only go to like a 75-ish at most.
I mean, there's times where, it'll get dark or whatever, but it's not. To me, they used to always push you to go really dark all the time. It was just weird to me. Oops, screwed up. Hang on. See, that's too dark.
How you doing that?
I put a gray value on multiply, and then I just backed it off with the levels.
Okay.
So I can get some of that cast shadow like that. But you got to be careful it doesn't get so dark that it starts to look like some kind of horror movie or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that like the background, I need to go like really hard on the values in that? I was kind of thinking about just massing it.
I'd kind of probably try, and even though I know it's not a landscape or whatever, but you could kind of try to unify those values a little bit where they're not as far away from each other, just like it is if something's way in the distance.
Okay. Yeah, kind of make things that are farther away lighter, right?
Well, they get a little lighter, but it's also the values like they get closer together.
Okay.
So they're not going to go like a really dark all the way to
a so it would be a smooth transition.
Like if this is a 3, this next value next to it might be a 5.
Okay.
So they get a little closer. So you could kind of think like that. You don't want to push it into like atmospheric perspective, but it might be able to use that value system to kind of unify the background together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
And I'd kind of lighten it up back there. I might even, I don't know, there's probably nowhere to do it, but hang on a sec. Give me like a couple of minutes, you guys.
Okay.
Just a second. Yeah, I think I just brighten it up a little bit. Well, I like this. I like the little
Where are you at? Your top left. Okay. I got you.
I like the little edge on the puzzle.
Thank you. I thought about I wanted to make it thicker, and then I stepped back and realized that they wouldn't be that thick after looking at reference and stuff.
How come your camera's over here?
Just because it's harder for the cat to reach it if it's over there.
Oh, I get it.
Okay. If I put it in front of me, the cat's gonna swat at it the whole class. So
okay, I get that. All right, so that's all I'd say is just bring it up. You want it to look kind of fun, right?
Yeah. Okay, so are we am I pushing the first one then, the top left? What I was thinking of for the bottom left is kind of like probably a skylight too.
And even back here, what were you gonna say?
Oh, the bottom left, I was thinking of something like a skylight or something, but it's still too dark. They're all too dark, but
Yeah, you can bring up the background a little, and then another thing you can do is you could do. Yeah, I don't know if that'll work. No, I wouldn't do it that way. Now that I'm thinking about it, it wouldn't work. I don't know. Maybe this one actually. Is that the one you were saying?
Yeah. I don't really know which one to pick. I think I'm fine running with either with any of them.
I think this one actually.
Okay. I kind of wanted to try and silhouette the alligator's head with the light on the floor behind them. I didn't know if I was successful there.
And the other thing, you got to be careful with that, because the other thing is like, where's that light? Why is there so much light spilling in there, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could go.
Yeah, I was thinking like skylight or something.
Well,
I have a classroom like
sort of a like if a window's casting a light in there.
Yeah.
You get the little windows, whatever, doing it or whatever. Maybe. I just wouldn't want it to become too important.
Okay.
And they could still, this is going to get lighter back here anyway.
Yeah.
So then, it becomes about adjusting this. Maybe this dark gets a little darker. I mean, some of them can get pretty dark if you need to, right? As long as they don't jump too far out of the value scale, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same thing people do with a line. They go to too fat a line that doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay, where are you at? Where's Lynn?
I'm right here.
So what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I attempted at the values, but I think it could have done I could have done more.
Yeah, do some more. This is too dark.
Yeah.
And then this, and then this. You do want this highlighted. So like somewhere in this range might not be bad. Shit, here it is. And then you're going to get some. They can get some folds in there, and that'll do a little bit. And then, you're going to have something on the wall, probably. Picture, something, right?
Yeah.
So then maybe that's a lighter value in there. Because you're going to have to, I might make her a little bigger, a little more important. Because right now, again, we're getting into that thing where it's like kind of a small shape, not a very big shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then a lot of empty area. And it feels like I might even, it's probably a little late for that, but I should have mentioned this before. That wall could turn and she could be here looking out this window, right?
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because then if you do that, it's a little more dynamic composition. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And then maybe I've got a coffee table or a kitchen table or whatever. And then she's here or whatever, and it just gets a little more dynamic. So it's not just so flat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
That's up to you.
Okay.
I would just kind of try to, like this could probably be a lot darker because that's getting not too dark, but because it's in the foreground and all that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I think I just put a picture or two there. The other option would be to put some kind of wallpaper. But I don't know if I'd want to do that. Yeah?
Yep.
You don't want to go this dark. Like not too many people have their house that dark. Here and there they do, right? But not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Where's Elena or Christine?
I'm here.
Still got some working out to do. It looks like you've worked on it quite a bit. Working out to do with these characters, right?
Yeah.
They look better, but make that arm a little smaller. And then I get a little more definition or design on what's really going on here on his legs and feet and stuff, right?
Okay.
And then if you're going to put glasses don't do that. They go like that, and then they kind of do this. I mean, depending on what kind of glasses they are. And this, and then they have the little thing on them, you know, and then how you going to account for him not having an ear? Maybe you pull it down. I'd probably pull this up a little bit. Or do something here with the snout so it's a little more prominent. That makes sense?
Yeah.
And then we've got to get more value on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now I'm not quite reading. And then he's sort of sitting, but he's not actually sitting on anything. Right?
Yeah.
Like there should be a bench or something here he's sitting on. Or whatever. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It probably, and then things like this where I say, well, I might want to lose some of the plants. Well, if you come up with a design or something that's a little more geometric, that's fine. But it's got to feel designed, right?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't do this jaggedy thing. I'd design that a little more. Right?
Okay.
Feels a little bursty right now. There could be something here maybe. Just always trying to find things that can make it a little more interesting. Maybe turn the wall over here. I don't know if that, yeah, you could do that. Maybe there's the assistant's desk here in the foreground so I can get something here.
Okay.
Like maybe there's a phone on this, or as usual, I draw one from the 70s. Just to put something in the foreground there. Maybe not. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you really want to start, want to populate the room where you're getting a little bit of depth and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have any questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah, because like by Wednesday, I really want to get the color so we can get to painting.
Okay.
Which one do you think, Benton? What's this big? Oh, that's her. Okay, forget.
That's her. Yeah.
Yeah.
The top right, I feel, is too dark.
Yeah, I agree. Right,
And
kind of going here personally, but
yeah, I'm bouncing between that one and the first one. Like those two feel the
thing I'll say about the first one is the lighting feels a little more coherent.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I mean, it's coming from here, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I tried to add a little bit more bloom to those lights for that one.
I think you're right. It's probably this one.
Yeah.
It just feels brighter, right?
Yeah.
And to me,
Do you think I should pump up the contrast on the gator from the background, like make him a little darker?
This gator here?
Yeah, to kind of pull him out.
He's got quite a few dark values on him.
Okay.
Like this is a pretty dark value here. Like maybe a little bit of, I don't know.
A little bit more shadow or something. Some
yeah,
really define the shadow shapes.
He's already gonna have some a little bit, so he's gonna have shadow here. And probably here. What is going on with my brush? Here, he's going to have some here, some, this will get lighter, but some up here, some here. Even some in here. And then, we're depending, this light's over here, so he could be casting a little bit of a shadow here. Right? Because you're definitely going to want to ground him, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then really get that slobbery vibe on the ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's a tennis ball more than a baseball. All right, you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, that one should work. Now color.
You
Right?
got it.
And if you notice, I'm doing them. I probably talked about this. I only managed to find one because my printer's broke. I got to get a new printer. God, I hate the way this does that. I'll put this over here. Here. Oops. So if you look here, this is just one that I just started throwing color over. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's just watercolor. That's what I like to use for this because it's apples to apples. And what I started working out here is, and I probably talked about this, but like I wanted something really warm, or it could have been green or whatever, but really warm right there. So I have an excuse to throw a lot of light on that and warmth on this side of that bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing down here where I want to start getting a hot, I know it's a little bit dull on this screen, but it's a little brighter here. Some hot greens down here so I can bounce those back up into the bear. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I like going apple now on the with the color. Don't do it on the computer. Do it apples to apples, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dang it! There. And again, I just printed those out off my printer.
Now, did you gesso it or anything, or just straight onto the printer paper?
Straight on the paper.
Okay.
That's why it's like you can. Well, you can't really probably tell here, but it really sucks the color kind of into the paper a little bit. Like I can't really manipulate it all that much, but I really don't care.
Because it's just a color comp.
Yeah, it's just a comp.
Okay.
Now, what I could do if I wanted to go a little more, I don't know, if I wanted to get a little more control over it, I could do a wet mount with it, and then I could hit it with a, well, no, that wouldn't work either because it's a watercolor. That's better for acrylic, right?
Yeah.
But what I do is I print out, I don't know, 2 pages of those, 3 pages of those, and I just have at it. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I mean, usually I demo it, but it's pretty straightforward, I think, right?
I think I'm going to start working on it right now.
Good. I love throwing paint around, man. Where's Candace Lou who is no more than 2?
What the heck? Are you Dr. Seuss?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am Dr. Seuss. You got a problem with that? Candace? Okay, I remember you did a comp last week, right?
It was the bottom right.
This one, right?
Yeah,
And then
that's the regular sketch.
I like this one still. What do you
Yeah,
But I do like that you explore it. And the reason is because I always say, how do I know if that's the right one if I don't explore other options?
hmm
I don't, you know what I mean? And you might have landed on something that was a way better idea, but I just think that's cool because it's going to be really dramatic.
hmm
You know, have you done any watercolor like that?
Not too much.
Hmm.
I'll play around with it though.
But okay, so I want to get when we get okay, maybe Wednesday. I gotta write. Let me write a note. Actually, I'm keeping notes on here now. Hang on. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But again, I think what I do is I'd really wet this whole page and then block in this overall washes wet into wet,
Mhm.
just to establish the cool and into the warm.
Right.
Like it's way better to work in a big wash like that than to get piecemealy.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm running through these kind of quick tonight is because they're just value comps. I want to spend more time on Wednesday on the color comps, right?
Yeah.
You have any questions?
Nope.
Not even existential questions? I can answer those.
Now,
let
Mike,
you know.
Yeah.
should we be doing these color comps over top the value or over like the line?
It's probably just when it gets down to the scale, probably over the or just without the value.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like I like to work over some value, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But when it gets this small, it starts kind of not really floating over it very well. It starts picking up too much of the pencil underneath. So it's kind of fooling me a little bit.
Mhm.
Now the problem for, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For the big version, do we put value in like the brown pencil and then go on
Okay,
top
here's
of
the thing. You don't have to. I'll talk a little bit about that also on hang on. Over on that on Wednesday. So what that is kind of a semi-Graphite technique, and Graphite just means gray. I don't do it with gray. I do it with a warmish pencil. I like to have a little value in there because as soon as I start throwing washes over there, it assumes all those values underneath, and it sort of makes it start to feel moving towards finish really fast, actually. Now, that doesn't mean I'm close to finish, but I just like the way it looks with this type of illustration. I tend to do it in I even do it with oil, but with oil, I tend to paint straight onto the canvas for the drawing with acrylic. And I tend to just add value to it just because I just naturally add value to it. But the good part about that is when I put my wash of orange over that, the whole thing assumes that it's got a value structure. And as soon as I start washing color and floating color into that, the value structure keeps the whole thing kind of locked together right from the beginning. Does that make sense? Now you don't have to do that. You can just, use your line drawing, and that's fine too. Okay. Either way works. Okay. I'm a very push-pulley. I like to play around unless I'm just doing straight oil or whatever. I love playing around with techniques and things like that. And I love pushing and pulling the color and all that. And then I love having I just like this type of illustration, but the byproduct of it is that I get more excited about the image quicker when I go to color because of that value being under there. There's not that big awkward period where it's like, wow, this looks like crap. You know what I mean? And by the way, it wouldn't anyway, I just block it in a different way, whatever. But, you want to block in your areas and then very systematically move through. Okay, this is the local color of this thing. Now I'm going to put in some of the shadow values. Now I'm going to start putting in the reflected light, all that stuff, right? Make sense?
Yep, thanks.
Where's Cynthia?
Hello.
Where's my value?
I didn't do it.
Why?
I just put it on the canvas.
On the paper.
Yeah.
Do a quick value comp. I want to make sure that you're locked into your values. Yeah?
Okay.
How come this one's such a different color? Is that just the lighting?
No, it's just my printer.
Okay, so is this getting it set up to transfer? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. And are you going to light table it?
I was gonna actually use that, what's it called, the transfer paper or graphite transfer.
You can.
I don't know about.
Have you used that? It might be okay on this. Have you used that before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. I mean, if that works for you, that's fine. What I can't stand about it is it absolutely kills your drawing.
Oh yeah, I was experimenting.
Okay. Yeah, if it works for you, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. But for me, it just totally kills a drawing. And I work so hard to get an expressive drawing and what I like in my drawing. And if I try and transfer it with that, it absolutely kills it. I'd have to start all over again, basically. Like all that would do is give me landmarks. And then I'd have to sort of punch all the information back in the way I want it. And then it's never going to be the drawing that I had to begin with. Right now, again, if you have a method of doing it where you like it, that's different. Okay. But you're definitely going to have to rework the drawing once you put it down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And by the way, I rework the drawing even when I do a transfer. I still punch things and, all that stuff because I have to, because it goes in, it doesn't come down like perfectly exactly the same way. It's all there, but I got to pull some of it back out. But it's all there, right?
Right.
All right. So get a value comp, and I want to get a value and a color comp by Wednesday then, yeah?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mike.
You can do that. Who's this? This is Derek. Where you at?
I'm right here.
You still got some problems in this drawing here, correct?
Yeah.
I'd really try and go over it and loosen it up. I know that this is a new process to you guys. I get it. And I like that you're starting to try to flare up the hand a little bit. But like this gesture is actually, maybe it's, oops. You know, and then maybe this, and then this foot out and this foot here maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe some of that. And I think I might try and get that hand separated from his head so it's not getting tangled up in all this information here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, it also, you know, could be a dark hat and his hat kind of pops, or his hand kind of pops out of it. I mean, that could also work. You know, and then how does this work? Oops. There's going to be a fold there. I'd want to get at least a couple of little simple folds in here. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, he's probably not going to have pants that are like really tight against them. They might gather a little bit down here. You know, there's going to be a pull fold probably going across, just coming up to that. You'd have to look at some reference for that. And I probably got that leg pushed a little too hard, but that's all right. And then even here, you know, I might get a little bit more information here. I might just put like a sort of value for the nose, which you can do with a little bit of warmth when you get to it. And then I do a little more with these eyes. I mean, when you just put the P eyes like that, sometimes that can work, but I'd work out some sort of eye solution, right?
Yeah.
You know, is it this? Is it, you know, a little different variation of that? You know, there's like 10 billion ways to do eyes. And then does he have a little bit of hair right here, back here a little bit, maybe even coming into his face somehow? This should be over a little. This should come up. I'd put the little thing on his hat. Oops, shit. You know, just to get things loosened up. Right?
Yeah.
And then is this a tray here?
Yeah.
Again, I'd probably pull that in maybe. Like little things like that, where if I'm doing a tray, instead of just doing it like that, I might tilt these in a little bit. So it just looks a little more interesting. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then again, not tiny little things. What's he throwing to him?
An apple.
Yeah. So again, make sure these are reading a little bigger. Sometimes you got to make bigger statements on there.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then here, and by the way, a lot of these things can be very simple. I just want them to feel really designed. Oops, I did that foot wrong. Oh no, I didn't. You know, think about these simple shapes. You can start off with this wedge shape. You know, then it could come up. Then I can get laces on it. I can put that. I can put that little thing, and I can start to build like a tennis shoe or something, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he's got big, what do you call those, floppy socks? Oh shit, I just remembered I forgot to take the stuff out of the dryer. Damn it. Shoot. Get all my bedding in the dryer. I just realized that. Give me 2 seconds, you guys. I have to throw it in the dryer. I'm going to be sleeping in a wet bed tonight. Hang on. It'll just take me like 2 minutes. I don't know why Zoom always throws the control bar on the other monitor where I don't want it. Okay, hang on. Okay, does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Work out these hands. You know, maybe something like that. And there's nothing wrong, by the way, with kind of working it out with simple shapes like you're doing. But then you got to sort of push it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or like unify them. I might show the underside of the upper part of his snout. Right there. Make a bigger statement with the teeth, probably. This, like these are existing sort of as flat planes. So you might want to get a little bit of, what do we call it? Depth to them. This, just to make it a little more interesting, I might kind of pull his foot in there a little more. You know, and just add these little bits of like cartoon anatomy, basically, right? That makes sense? And then you got to get a color comp and a value count by Wednesday, yeah?
Okay, then.
Questions?
No.
Okay. Ooh, I like these.
Yay, it's me.
I don't believe that.
True.
I
Don't
did these.
exist.
I did these. I know I did.
Yeah, I stole them.
I know you hacked my computer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Freaking pro hacker. Yeah.
Which one are you thinking?
I think I was thinking 1, but with a slightly lighter bus, like in 3.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And then
Nice
this
then.
road, what kind of road is that?
I did not figure that out.
So if it's like a asphalt road, then it's gonna be a little darker, right?
Okay.
So if that's gonna be a little darker, and that's, you know, let's say, doesn't have to be super dark, by the way. Because people, they hear the word blacktop and they go, oh, it's, you know, blacktop.
Should I use that like salt thing on that area?
Probably.
Okay.
So maybe I do this and then I go, the sun's hitting this and the grass is getting really nice and sort of acidic, and then it'll highlight that road, right?
All right.
And then we're going to go here, and then we're going to have, you know, that. And that'll help it a lot. The little road, road markers.
I can't believe I didn't think of that.
Well, it's a comp. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Lines to the road.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Now color.
Cool.
Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
Just small. Look how small these are. Well, we're working small, so we'll work our stuff out without going, oh, it's precious. I spent 4 hours on it. It's so precious. I'm going to fix it. And it's like, it's not fixable. It doesn't work. Okay. If it doesn't work. Okay. We want to get used to going, oh, that sucks. I don't like that. Go to another one. That one's okay, but that's not it. Okay, this one. And you just keep going. And then you go, ah, boom, that one looks pretty good, except I should change this and do that. And then sometimes I don't go on and do a whole nother one. Then I might just like add a little bit of white gouache to my watercolor or something, and like lighten things up that I need to lighten up and stuff on that one. And then I'm good. Yeah. The whole point of that process, normally this process that we're going through right now, you'd go through pretty fast, right? Yeah. But you got to get used to it. Okay. And you also got to get used to, if you're working with somebody else, which you almost always are in some way or another, that there's going to be a lot of back and forth, you know, and you can't get all precious about your ideas where you start getting defensive. You know what I mean? Because people do that. You know, a lot of people do that. They defend all their decision making. And I can tell you right now, I probably said this before, but I can tell you right now, people do not like that. You know what I mean? Because then they just start going, you're a pain in the ass. You know what I mean? It's like, you're not sticking up for your ideas. You think all your ideas are great, and you're just argumentative, and nobody's ideas are that great. Does that make sense? Not all of them anyway. Once in a while you hit a great one. That's a big leap. Have you done those like that before?
I don't know. Occasionally. Did the final drawing look okay though, Mike?
I thought it looks pretty good.
Okay, good.
You're still gonna, you know, kind of tighten up a little bit as you're transferring. How are you going to transfer it?
I'm still working that out. Probably light table.
Okay.
But I'll move my pencil back and stuff to make sure.
Yeah, and always remember that, you know, you're still adjusting a little bit in that final phase, right? Now, if I do a rub down transfer, I'm probably going to mostly adjust it to the depth there, because I know I'm just going to transfer it right on the paper. And
okay.
But on the light table, I don't know why, I just tend to keep correcting or trying to add or whatever you want to call it. Okay, where are you at? This one's not bad. Where'd you
I'm
go?
here.
Okay, so we lighten this up back here. They got this into a mid-value range, right?
Mm-hmm.
This can just be kind of a big wash, right?
Yeah.
This could be a big wash, kind of a bluish gray wash. What color's the sky, do you think? Warmish?
Well, what do you think, or what'd you say?
Would it be warmish or like bluish?
I was thinking bluish, but not too
Okay.
like saturated.
No, yeah, exactly. And then also remember, as you roll down from the top, it'll go to a deeper blue, and then it gets warmer and dirtier and lighter towards the horizon.
All right.
Almost all, I think always, period, right? So which one do you think? I think it's this one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I was thinking though, the bottom where the street is, should I make it dark how the bottom ones are, or you think I should leave it that value?
I think this value is probably fine.
All right.
The good thing about streets is like we tend to think of them as being very dark, but it depends on where it is, how new it is, how worn out it is, and what time of day it is, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So you can get a street that's a pretty light value warm gray, or you can get a street that's a pretty dark value purplish bluish gray.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes the whole gamut, right? And then sometimes you get both those things in one thing, where part of the road's worn, and then part of it's sort of worn out and warmish and more grayish and beat up, and then part of it's worn a different way, and so on and so forth. It might have, all the travel marks and all that stuff from all the cars going over it and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so, in other words, you can kind of adjust that how you need to in an illustration. Okay, color, yeah?
Yep.
Good. Which one do you think, Ian?
I'm thinking either like I want to go with the first one, this right here.
Yeah, this one here.
Mm-hmm. Like I've been looking at some ideas.
I think this is fine. I'd probably just lighten up the alley, maybe to this value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not quite this dark, but you're gonna go, I'm assuming, and you're gonna go, and he's gonna have, I think this one, this value here.
Yeah, gotcha.
I think, yeah. And then this can go up a little bit in value. This is a little dark.
Underwater, like.
Yeah, it can go into a silhouette like that, but not quite that dark. So in other words, just go up 1 or 2 steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then give me a color comp on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, you gotcha.
Right on. Right on.
Hey, Mike, quick question.
Yeah.
When we started the thumbnail process for this project, you showed us an artist of an alligator. They painted an alligator sitting in like an old lady's lap at a bus stop.
Yeah.
What was the name of that artist?
Peter DeSev.
How do you spell his last name?
Peter, D-E, separate word, S-E-V-E.
Okay, cool.
He's a master.
I wanted to see his brushwork on the alligator skin again.
Yeah, what he's basically doing is he's piling a lot of shapes on there. Okay, yeah, and that's a good thing. Get a good high res or a bigger image of it, which is out there, and then just look. He's basically just piling shapes. Hey, I'll put a little purple hit there. Hey, I'll put a little warm hit there. Hey, I'll put that, and he's just, he probably goes in with like everybody else. Just a bit. I know he does. He goes in with a big wash. His process actually is almost this exact process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He even uses a brownish pencil and all that stuff. But I mean, it's a pretty traditional process.
Okay.
Because sometimes people go, "Oh, that's kind of Peter said." I go, "Jesus, this goes all the way back to that Potter." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I learned it from like really old school illustrators from probably the 60s or something, and then you kind of push it in your own little thing. Right?
Yeah.
Where's Julia at?
Right here.
I still think we've got a problem with this communicating.
Oh, okay.
Right? because it's really getting tangled up down here where I'm not sure what's going on. That's why I was saying it'd probably be better to go sideways with it. Remember?
Oh, yes, yes.
So I'd probably do that. And then get me a value and a color comp.
Sounds good.
Yeah? Because right now it's a little all light value except for a couple of dark hits up here. Really think about where your light's coming from. All you guys, make sure you establish where the light is coming from. It's usually going to be upper left, upper right. You probably don't want it directly, because I get people all the time that go, oh, it's right overhead. And I'm like, that's the worst time of the day to paint, because it's just all the lights going straight down. Where if it goes this way, I get some nice shadows across the face. I get some nice cast shadows. I get some interior shadows that are at an angle under things like eaves and porches, right? And then I get people that do weird things. And I think in their brain, they're thinking something else, but they'll go, oh, I put the light right here. And it's like, okay, so now he's going to go all into silhouette. That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Why would you put the light here? Now, there could be a time for that. If it was a film noir thing, or somebody opened a door ominously and the streetlights were out here and they were sort of in silhouette, then that would make sense. You know what I mean? If you want sort of an ominous lighting, okay? Up lighting tends to look very ominous, okay? So if you wanted that, and you see it all the time, like in movies where they bounce the light off a character, maybe it's just a desk, and they're sitting there talking to somebody intensely, and they've got a lamp here that's hitting their desk and bouncing all the light underneath them, and it makes them look menacing, right? So you always got to kind of think of what your lighting's trying to convey, right? I think in this, we're pretty wide open as far as just fun, bright, that kind of thing, right?
Yes.
Because we're not doing film noir or anything. So always kind of, you know, in this case, we're probably doing left or right upper lighting, right?
Yes.
And then that's going to determine, boom, this gets hit, this gets hit. Oh, I can put something like I was talking about with the leaves here, and I can filter a little bit of light through there. Maybe there's a car over here or maybe they're wearing a red shirt. I do this all the time, like that shirt Amelia's wearing. If there was like a lot of light, you can actually see it a little bit. It's bouncing up and well, now it isn't. Get rid of that light. You can't see it now. But earlier, like you can still see it there. See how there's a little bit of red light bouncing up into the bottom of her face?
Yes.
Okay. So I might use something like that. I do that all the time. So if somebody's outside, especially they got like an orange shirt on, I'm going to bounce some of that light up into the bottom of their face. And it just has an effect of like livening it up. It gets them into the same lighting situation, because what we're trying to do is use all these tools to put everything in the same environment. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So things don't feel cut and pasted in. Okay. So if I know I can bounce a little light from like a car over here, like if somebody's talking, there's a yellow car over here and it's bouncing a little light in these people, it's going to put them all in the same environment, because that light's bouncing around in the various objects and people in it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Wagon in your piece will bounce a lot of light since it's metal.
Say what?
Oh, I was just saying the wagon in her piece will bounce a lot of light.
Yeah, it's a reflective object.
All right.
And by the way, you can heighten that stuff. I do it all the time with like grass, where there's a lot of foliage around. I'll bounce some of that green around a little bit, right? I just did a little painting. I think I told you guys, I did a little oil painting of a dog for somebody recently. And I found, you know, I always want to have some sort of accent color in there. And I go, oh, I can knock a little green in here, even though you can't see it, you know, because it's just a little headshot or whatever. I know that there could be grass in that environment. And then I kind of popped it in and they go, oh yeah, that looks fine. It just gave me another accent color. Cause like when I'm painting like a dog or something like that, that's all brown, that dog is all brown. There's little variations in the color, but I want to really make a pop in that break up all that brown. Does that make sense? And part of it I might just do where the brown, I shift the temperature a little bit, where I shift the temperature into a little more orange or maybe a little more cool. And it's just all real subtle stuff, but it moves the shape. It moves it breaks up the space and it makes it more, give it some movement. Does that make sense? Just like what Andrew was talking about when I was just saying about piling shapes on. If you look at that Peter de Seb painting, he's popping like some purples in there and I think some greens and some ochre yellows, and he's thinking about that. Like, what can I get away with here? It's a gator. What color did their skin just change into? Because you got a lot of leeway there. It's a very reflective animal, right?
Mhm.
So all those things are tools in your toolbox on color and value and temperature, right?
Yes.
Okay. Where you at, Leah? I see you. You look terrified, but I see you, Leah.
Hi. I was just putting my finished sketch in the chat before, cause last time
This was a finished sketch.
well, cause last time I didn't have the full thing. I had I changed it halfway, so I put the finished sketch in the chat.
Wait, is this from last week or?
No, this is from this week, but I couldn't, cause last week I didn't have a finished sketch, so I put one in right now.
You got to stop putting things in the chat and just get them in there when they're supposed to be in there, correct?
I put this one in because this is due, but I forgot to put that one in because that one was for last one.
Because I don't like stopping and going and getting things and all that.
Sorry.
That's why I like the Google Drives. I just download all of it, I put it in my folder, and I'm ready to go.
Sorry.
I think it's downloading.
Yeah.
How come it says Gollum here?
What?
This is because we were talking about how drawings are precious. Like,
yeah.
I was saying that. Yeah.
It's weird.
Sorry. It was.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, never mind then. Because this has.
Okay.
Oh,
all right. So you just told me that's a finished drawing, right?
Yeah.
I still think this leg, this one over here, could be more like coming a little more this way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if you look at it, hang on.
Bottom is a little weird.
Watch. If I go back out of this, like if I have a leg sitting this way, I'm not going to put my other leg like that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's they're both going to be sort of like that, probably like a little splayed out a little bit. So that means that this, and also that means I can tilt this foot a little bit and get a little bit of a, again, kind of a kid-like. I tilt this one this way probably a little bit. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a little kid-like thing. Make a few bigger statements here, like the nostrils. You can make a little bigger statement. Might want to make a few little things there in the arms. I'd probably I might, well, maybe not. Always kind of think about those things you always hear about where, like with, with your shape building, you know, like I might draw the arm, like let's say this is my gator. I might draw this arm sort of just a thing like that. I might draw the arm. Now you can put a little anatomy in it, that's fine. You know, depending on what position it's in, maybe the body, I might do sort of a rounded shape and a little square shape back here. Just those simple design tools where you can kind of simplify straight against this curve, all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense? You've heard all that stuff, right? Yeah?
I'm not exactly sure what that was referring.
Well, like here.
Uh-huh.
You're starting to get a lot of this sort of bulby idea right there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So then I go, can I simplify it? Maybe I have this part but then maybe this part's a straight. The
Yeah,
upper part of
that
the,
makes sense.
does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, and those things, you know, the reason you hear them all the time is they work. Not always, but they work. Sometimes you can start overcomplicating the anatomy a little bit. And okay, that's fine if you're drawing, I don't know, superheroes or something, but even that anatomy is very stylized and simplified, right?
Yeah.
And that is, right? Like
'Cause
those
when you say
people who, go ahead.
Because when you said superhero, I was thinking about how Andrew was saying like space anime alligator.
Okay, this hand's backwards, right?
Oh, I fixed it later.
Okay, that's fine.
On the thing.
Okay, now
on my
here,
value.
now here, I'd probably give this another little dose of, I don't know why I'm in that. I'd probably make a bigger statement with his hoodie.
Mhm.
Not too big, but this is, yeah, you're gonna have a little pull fold there. These usually have some sort of finish, like an elastic thing. And again, I know we're not drawing, I might put this little overhang here because these things are real floppy. Down here, it could get a little floppy. Maybe it bunch it. No, I don't like that. Make a real statement on the hair, like how you're going to design it. You know, like that. I might see if I can maybe pull his neck in a little bit there so he's not starting to feel like a big middle-aged jolly person, right?
Oh, okay.
But you know, you can just skinny up the neck because boys tend to have, you know, they look like they have skinny necks and big ears and big heads and all that.
Yeah, I'll enlarge the ears. That sounds like.
Here, I might put a little flip there. I'd break this edge probably with that pocket.
Okay.
I'd find somewhere where I could maybe put a just a fold here and there. Again, you don't want to overdo it. I might put a zipper pull right there, not at that angle. Both these feet, you don't stand with both feet like that, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to stand with one foot sort of coming that way and then one foot going where you have it. See how that makes more sense?
Yeah.
I might see if I could bend that a little bit. Maybe. Yeah, maybe not. So the thumb will be here or whatever. Yeah, I might tip that up a little, give it a little more drama. A little more information on this stuff. So this stuff's got to be fleshed out back here. All this stuff, right?
Okay.
So if you're going to draw like a back.
I was hoping it was like background noise and like.
Yeah, I get it.
Filling up
And that's fine. You don't have to like trick it all out.
Okay.
But you know, you probably want to get this sense of, I haven't looked at a backpack in a while, of this kind of folding over and then maybe some kind of buckle here. And then there's going to be a little bit of weight where it hits the floor, depending on how loose and full it is. Maybe I see one of the backpack straps. I always just do this thing where I put the water bottle in it because they always have this little net thing. So sometimes I'll just put the water bottle in there. Maybe I'll see the side of another pocket. Maybe there's a little bit of stitching here. Maybe there's some kind of silly logo and a fold and I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm. I have a problem controlling my realisticness.
Okay, so that's something I don't know if I've talked about it in here a lot, but I talk a lot about transitions. Turn your camera on.
Oh, okay.
It's weird when I'm just staring at, I know a lot of people do it, but usually you turn your camera on. That's why I know you don't care.
Okay.
So I don't like to force people to do that. I know some people don't like to do it, but that's one of the things that I talk about constantly is that you guys are taking, like, let's say life drawing, perspective, you know, all that stuff, right? Which is great. Okay. You absolutely have to take that. But then there's the problem of transitioning from those very hardcore fundamental ideas into making them useful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we all go through this. Like I could go find my old work and the same thing where it's like, I didn't stylize this piece at all because I was just drawing it like realistically because I hadn't really gotten loose enough to figure that out. You know what I mean? So you have to start learning how to use all that great stuff you learn in those kind of classes, but then transition it into useful stuff. That makes sense? And everybody does it. Okay. I just saw student work online. I'm not even sure what it was for. I don't know what it was for. But it had words and like, I don't know. It almost seemed like a PSA or something, but it was drawn so statically and so not really realistically, but kind of trying to be realistic that I was like, I don't know what this is saying stylistically at all.
He's talking about my horse, y'all.
No, it's not you.
On that note though, do we have a visual communication class here at Full Call?
Well, what we're doing here is talking about visual. Almost any class you take with me is going to have a big dose of visual communication.
Okay.
I talk about it constantly, but so see how we're starting to add a little more kind of style and push things a little bit.
Yeah.
Like hoodies are very sort of floppy and foldy and sometimes oversized, especially on a kid this size. So I can get this little line to hang over. It's almost like a belly, but it's not his belly. It's just the fold of the fabric, you know, and it kind of folds down on itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking about things like weight when we're talking about this, because where it hits the ground, it might kind of bulge out a little bit down here because it's got stuff in it, right?
Yeah.
You know, and then I could also, I don't know, if the kid was an artist, you know, I could have a T-square sticking out of it.
Like a table easels kind of stuff.
Yeah, I could have a ruler hanging out of it. You know, I could have, if there was a pocket here, maybe I've got a pencil, you know, and I could, this kind of information would speak to what this kid's into and who he is or she is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's props basically, right? But the props are indicators of the kids, you know, in this case, we don't care about that, but.
I took the prop class with Phil last semester.
Yeah. But the thing I've been thinking about a lot lately with mostly with entertainment people is they're going into these classes and they go and they leapfrog over the trenches and they go character design. And it's like, okay, you don't know how to draw people. You don't know how to draw animals. You don't know anything about anatomy. You don't understand stylization. You don't really know how to draw. And I'm not talking about you. You don't know how to draw very well, but then you're jumping to character design. Like, no. Life drawing, life drawing, life drawing, life drawing, animal drawing. And I just mean drawing animals, drawing animals, drawing animals, drawing animals, basic, putting shapes together like I'm talking about right now with this thing. That's all I'm doing. You know, starting to understand a little bit about pushing stylization and all that kind of stuff, then go jump into character design. You know what I mean?
It's kind of me.
What I see happening with entertainment design, which I just think is weird, I don't understand it, is people want to do that stuff so much that they go, I just want to do that. And then I kind of go, do you actually give two craps about drawing? Or do you just want to do that? You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about in general.
Well, it's kind of true for me too, but
okay,
I only know how to draw women.
My question is,
about it.
Are you interested in being an artist, like a really good one, a really good designer and artist, or do you just want to draw Marvel characters or whatever you're into? You know what I mean?
I'm not really into anything. I just draw.
Okay, that's good. That's a good starting point. Then you got to really pound that and get comfortable with it. Okay. And then this other stuff like this, because half the stuff I'm doing on this, it's just experience. You know what I mean? So that's why I can burn through things very fast, because I did it for 20 years with a gun in my head all the time. You know what I mean? With deadlines and deadlines and deadlines and crapping my pants that my presentation's going to go horribly, or my ideas suck, or, you know, all that nonsense, right? Or, hey, I think that guy that they just hired is after my job, you know, all that kind of stuff, right? So what does that make you do? It makes you go, screw him. I'm going to kick that guy's ass or girl's ass, whatever it is. And I'm staying here. You know what I mean? And it makes you a fighter, and it makes you have to get better. because you have to stay in that environment. You have to get better. Okay. It'll like when you get out of school, you can get really good in school, but then when you go out into the real world, you get a whole other education, you know? And I was lucky. I was trained really well at Art Center. When I exited Art Center and went into the real world, it wasn't that different. It was one of the few times I've heard that a school, because usually you hear people, they go to school and they go, well, that wasn't the real world at all. Well, they kind of are. You know what I mean? They train you to go work. It's not hippy dippy doodah crap over there. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you see how we've kind of plussed him a little bit?
Yeah.
And then here with the nose, I might just do this. You know, just put a little, or maybe again, it's just a little bit of value or something, right?
Yeah.
You know, kids had said those really, you know, and then maybe I'd put a little hint of his nostril or something. And then I'd shape it out a little bit. But I'm trying to get all these like, and the other thing is you got to think about reference points, okay? Like kids have these button noses. Guys, you know, boys will have those gawky ears, the kind of skinny neck. You know, they're kind of gawky. Their feet are too big. They're just dorko looking, right? Mm-hmm. So you want to kind of put those Lego blocks in your Lego box, right? Like all those little things that make up a kid, and a girl has her own thing. We've talked about a little bit, I think, in here about how kids are very small. Kids are very awkward, kind of unself-aware. They don't have a lot of control over their physicality. Like toddlers or even kids that are a little older, they kind of always feel like they're in this controlled forward fall. You know what I mean? Like they'll kind of do this because they're always balancing and they're sort of falling forward and they're just sort of going across the room like that. And then eventually, usually they do fall over.
It reminds me of my niece who was like in her mom's shoes because she's like 2 and she doesn't know what she's wearing. So she has like feet that are like this big and the shoes that are like this
Yeah,
small.
right. Yeah.
It's adorable.
Yeah. And also like kids have no filter. You know, they'll come up and say something to you. You're like, you little, you know, and they're not doing it to be mean. They're just being observational and going, wow, you've got a giant head. Like, you know, why do you have such a big head? You know, and they'll say stuff like that to you. And you're like, you little brat. You know? But they're not doing it to be mean. They just don't have a filter yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And those are all the things that I like to catalog. Or if you see a kid playing or do something interesting, start sketching them, man. That's your best. That sketchbook, I'm telling you, I know I'm a broken record on this. You get in that damn sketchbook and sketch all the time, right? Observationally, not sitting in there drawing other stuff. Observational, right? And start putting all this into practice with that, you know? Maybe you got a kid in front of you and you start stylizing them a little bit right on the spot, you know? And maybe it fails. So what? You do it again tomorrow. And I guarantee you keep doing that, you'll start hitting it, okay? When this stuff is all theoretical and it's all in a classroom, and it's not ever being brought in from the real world and observation, it's difficult. Okay. You got to pull that experience from life, the little nuancy hand things and that little thing I just said with kids. Why do I know that about kids? Because I've seen it a million times. I've drawn it and I go, oh, they're just in this constant forward fall. And that's why their arms are flailing around because they're like trying to balance. You know what I mean? It's the way Andrew runs.
Hey, no way, no reason to get personal now. Come on, man.
I have somebody to click on.
I'm sorry I was 6 foot tall as a toddler, okay?
Yeah. I was 8'3" when I was taller.
Man, you shrunk a lot.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting older. I've lost like 2 feet.
Yeah, because like I'm a whole head taller than you, man.
Yeah, that's true. Be careful where this hand is landing. I don't know how much of that arm I'm going to see. Maybe I'm just going to see a finger or something over there. I'm not sure.
Okay.
You know, give me a couple of strategic folds. How does this end? Like things have to end. Is there, a seam there? What is that? Is there,
I was
see
thinking that it was like a shirt that got tucked into her pants. So maybe I'll need like a belt.
Here I might cheat this and put that little flip there, maybe. Just cheat it so it feels like it's going around. Then when I put these, I put a fold in there. So when I put this stripe coming down, it can roll over this and move over. Does that make sense? Like if you have a shirt with a cut across it and the logo goes off place, does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
So that gives you a little bit of interest in the leg, right? Or in the clothing. Be careful where this foot's cutting off. I don't think that's terrible, but just make sure you're thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
So, does this have a pin in it, like a tack in it that's holding it up here? Is it taped? Is there tape right here?
I'll put tape. That's more dramatic.
Yeah, this gives you another shape, right?
Yeah.
And then it's not too bad. Does she have eyelashes?
Maybe.
Do I make a bigger statement where the hair separates into a bigger graphic statement? One or two hairs hanging in her face, maybe, like here. Like once you put in the superstructure of the hair, like here, like if you're doing, oops, hang on. If I have a, let's just block in the head shape. Here's my head shape, right? That makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I got hair here, and I put in the structure of the hair. Let's say that it goes up. There's a bun here, kind of drops down, and it'll droop in the back. Nobody ever gets that right usually. Then a little bit of here. Okay, so now we have this superstructure of the hair, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then once I put that in, number one, I want to make sure all this is radiating up to and out of that bun, correct? Because that's a structural thing. But once I put the structure of this hair in, then I can go boom and maybe put one or two loose hairs, maybe one there. And that's all I need, okay? People start doing, you're not doing spaghetti hair, but people do that spaghetti hair thing. And it's not how it works.
My problem when I did the boys' hair was that it keeps looking like anime. And
Like
I was like,
what?
I can't do that.
Looks like what?
It keeps looking like anime hair, like
I don't think
Julia.
it looks like anime hair. Maybe you just kind of, make it what I just said, where, maybe it's, typical boy's haircut, that kind of, here's his ear, and again, then you got a couple in his face. Maybe it's one's covering one eye and the, I can see the other eye or whatever. And it's a little bigger that for his head to keep pushing that idea of a kid. Little
Just
cheeky.
do me a favor and don't draw Justin Bieber, okay?
I have another picture of Justin Bieber somewhere else. And then he gets this skinny neck and he looks like a kid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You can get a little bit of this cheek mass right there because kids are pretty cheeky, right?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. And then his hair can be a little screwy because he's a kid. But, you always want to sort of, this kid's a smart ass. He wore a bow tie to his presentation.
Running for class president.
Oh,
You
yeah.
made him too much of a dork, man.
All kids are dorks.
Oh.
Anyway, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
You can just leave that kid in the background. I mean, he fits in there.
Yeah, kind of. That's what I love about drawing is it just all reveals itself to you. Like it just does it itself. You know what I mean?
Oh, my color. I mean, not color value.
Oh, value count.
Sorry for taking so much time.
That's all right.
It's helpful. It's okay.
Yeah, it is. It's helpful to everybody. You got to make more of a coherent plan. Everything's sort of a really light value 3 on the scale. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So where's my lighting? Up.
It's just I feel like classrooms, it's like all around lighting. So I didn't like.
So you
I didn't
can't
know how to
think
do
like
it.
that. You can't go. You can't think. Okay. So here's what you got to do. You got to know how everything works. I had a teacher who taught me this, right? And I don't know if I ever mentioned this guy in here. He terrified me. He absolutely terrified me. I was scared to death of him. Little guy. And he'd just rip you to death. And it was an all-day crit. It went from 9 o'clock in the morning to like 4. Okay. And he would just tear you pieces, right? If your pieces sucked. Sometimes he'd tear them off the wall and go, I'm not going to crit this. It sucks. But anyway, he confirmed something for me that I kind of secretly thought, but I wasn't far enough along in my training to know. But I thought a designer kind of has to know everything, right?
Yeah.
And he would speak to things that we'd go, how the hell does he know that? And part of the reason he knows that is because he is a designer. You have to do a ton of research, and you're constantly cataloging in your head and your sketchbook and all that stuff. So you learn a lot of stuff. And he did this one thing one time where somebody, and it was just in a comp like this, and they put one of those arabesque doors in it, right? And he goes, that's not an arabesque door. And he's like, and the guy's like, it's a comp. And, you know, he'd shoot them all out for that. But then he goes, an arabesque door is based on the series of, I don't know, it was like numbers or something. And it's this, and he's saying all this weird stuff. And it was right before lunch. So then we all went to lunch and we go, screw him. Roland's full of crap. And we all ran up to the library, found a book on that. And he was exactly right. And that was totally obscure. You know what I mean?
And you had to look for a book, and we could just search it up on Google. And we
well, this is a long
know.
time ago. But
And we still don't know.
yeah, but it really confirmed something to me that, and he said that afterwards. He goes, you want to be a designer, you got to know everything. And it's true, right? So what I'm saying here is you got to know how lighting works in a room, and you got to know how lighting works in a kid's room. And then you got to make use of it the way you need to make use of it for your image making, right? Because if I go, there's light all over the room. Well, you know, if I want to get a little more directional light, maybe I put a desk lamp on the teacher's desk. Or, you know, or I don't really show you the lighting in this room. Then I can kind of just go, it's up over here in the upper right because I want to get a lot of nice shadows over here. Because I don't have to explain it then. If I don't show you the light source, I don't have to explain it. Correct?
Yeah.
I can just go, there's a fluorescent light over here. That's what I've decided. You know what I mean? And if I don't show it to you, I don't have to answer to it, right? You have to know how things work, lighting, anatomy, pose, attitude, personality, all that stuff. And then all of that is used to the way you want to use it because you know how it works. And then some of that stuff you cheat. And we're always cheating images, okay? We're pushing them. You know, and I think what people like, I was like this, it seems like you're a little like this. Like a lot of times people think they've got to get permission to do that. Or like, oh, I'll know how to do that when I've gotten to this level, which is a little bit true, right? Because you do got to learn it. But then at some point, you got to give yourself permission to go, hey, man, I know how to do this. I'm going to put that light over there and I want to add a red light back here so I can get this, I can do that. And then it works. And you go, okay, now I got it. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So give yourself a, you know, and it's probably going to be upper left here, I'm guessing, you know, and then, you know, she's, oops.
Oh, maybe because the alligator has a shadow to the left. Maybe I can have the teacher's shadow, like, you know, cover them. As like,
well, you could, yeah. I mean, if you want to give her a more sense of imposing, I don't know if this is what you mean.
Yeah.
You could have her doing this and kind of her shadow climbing up on him a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay, you got to work it out though, because that shadow has to get through him first. If you want to do that, you know.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, she gets a little darker. So we get some value up here. He's got to get a little more
green.
Yeah, he's going to have a green value, but you know, what's the overall, wait. And then you could just do it, you know, well, you in this case, you can do this part, just go into it here in Photoshop or whatever. Not your color comps, but this. Now I'm going to lighten that up because it's too dark.
Wait, which one did you hit?
For what?
Your shortcut key.
Command L.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm always using like Control U, and like it doesn't work on gray stuff. So.
Well, for some reason this isn't either, and it's weird because it should. All right, let's do it this way. Hang on. It's because it's too black, I think. Which is weird. It still should work. I don't know why, but I don't want to fight it right now. So I'm just going to get a gray value here. Shut up. Get out of here.
Wow.
I'm going to go here. What is going on here? Oh, it's locked. That's why. So let's just use this. I'm going to reuse this shape. And then I'm just going to put it on multiply. You know, and I can start to figure out how light or dark I think that should be.
Mhm.
Like maybe it's about there, right?
Mhm.
You know, and then I can come in here and maybe take an eraser just to get a comp done quickly and start pulling out a few of these if the light's over here, right?
Uh-huh.
And just see where that lands. And in this case, I don't like a bunch of airbrushy soft stuff, but for this, I don't care. I'm just figuring out the lighting. You know, and then I can come back in here and go, okay, I've got an overall value, but now I want to go to a little darker value because under here, I got to define under his chin, over here, under here. Maybe this arm's casting a little shadow under here. And I start to just build a really quick value idea. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Same thing with the kid. He's probably going to have a whatever color shirt you want. It's too dark right there. So maybe I'll just pull some of that back out. You know, and just putting that value in there, those three values helps. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then I could go get behind all this stuff and on top of this, and then I can go, I'm going to fill this whole layer. I don't know if that's behind the kid. It's not, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. And again, I'm just going to go to multiply, then I'm going to back this out again because I just want to unify the back. You know what I mean? So I might give the back sort of a value and then again, pull some light out of it and start shaping the light a little bit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the reason why, you know, I mean, I could even do it. You know, I could even do it this way where I put something over the whole drawing. Oops. Again, multiply. Probably a little too dark. But let's say I go, the whole room's about that lit. And then, you know, I could start pulling things out of this. And then go in and start building my darker values again. But, you know, get it lit however I want. This way, the whole room's unified together. Does that make sense? Which I like to do a lot, actually. You know, just start with some sort of value and then start pulling lights and darks out of it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if okay, so one of the things I think you always want to do is you want to, as much as you can, when you can't always do it this way, but you want to unify the whole thing like into a big unit, right?
Yeah.
And then if I unify the whole room with one value, then I'm just punching light and dark. It's like working on Canson paper, right? And I get a very simple, quick value thing. And then I can kind of manipulate it and make it a little more complex, but I've got it locked together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I was having that problem when I was doing it. I was doing individual person, and then I was like, I couldn't bring them together.
The best way to do this, if you're going to do it like that, is to put a layer mask on this layer, on the gray layer, because then I can just go to my black, whatever you call it. Why is it not doing it? Hang on. Oh, there it is. I can go to this, my white, and I can start pulling things out. I can flip it back here and I can start painting things back in, and I can really get a value comp really quick. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But anytime with a drawing or a painting or anything or a color comp, whatever, that if you can lock everything together, whether that's shapes, value, you know, all your tools that you have, that's going to help you. That makes sense?
Yeah.
I do the same thing on location. I carry a little tiny jar of graphite powder. And I'll just do a real quick drawing of whatever, a train. And then I just reinforce some of my darks, and I take a kneaded eraser and I start pulling out all the lights, and I can draw a train in 10 minutes, like fully rendered, right? Because it's already locked together. It's you know what I mean? It's not that hard. Okay. Does that make sense? Do you have any questions?
No, no more. Thank you. Sorry for taking so much time.
No, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. I don't want you to think that asking questions is a bad thing in here. That's why you're here. If you already knew this stuff, then there'd be no point in me being here. There'd be no point in any of us being here. Okay. Always look at your teachers as a resource, because that's what they are. And if they're not, get another teacher. Okay. Seriously. They're getting paid. You are paying me to be here. Does that make sense? And you have to understand that, okay? That your teacher has to give you value for your dollar. Okay? And that it doesn't, and if you sit here and you go, I'm not quite understanding that, that's why we're here, is to discuss this. It's good for everybody. It's good for me. Okay? It's good for me to talk out loud about all this stuff. It organizes it in my head. Okay? Okay, good. So go make some value comps and color comps. Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Where are you at?
Hello.
What do you think?
I feel like I'm gonna redo my value comp because like I want to play around with lighting.
I think I would take all this business back here. And this is why, doing this digitally can actually be cool, because you can really play on the value part of it, not the whole thing, but just the value part. Because you can really get really fast ideas going. And I'm going to say, let's just do it. I'm just going to take this part for here. It might also include that lawn or whatever. And then this back here. Look, you just dial in that back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not that off. It's really just that what it really is this tree right here is competing with the alligator. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
They're almost the exact same value. So then I have to go, okay, because that can sit back there atmospherically a little further back. I think it's a good thing if it does. So I'd come in here, you have so much stuff in here, I just kind of manipulate it from here. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. How do you feel about the line art? Like, do you think the facial expression is okay? I don't know.
Is it smiling?
It's supposed to have like an awkward moment, but I feel like I can't express it.
Well, they have this big hinge right here that comes up. So if you want to get a smile, it's pretty easy. I'd have to know what the expression you're going for is, really.
It's like they're staring at each other, and it's kind of like the girl is like, kind of like.
Is it just sort of like both of them looking at each other, like just tripping out on each other?
Yeah.
I think you're close with the girl, but I think you got to get a little more of it on the alligator.
All right.
And also, I always explore this kind of stuff. We talked about this, I think. If you tilt his head, it makes a little more sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Maybe it's the other way. No, this way. You know the way dogs will look at stuff and they do that weird stuff like that? Oh, people even do it. You know what I mean? So if you're looking at something, you're kind of, you'll tilt your head when you're kind of figuring it out. So that's something you might be able to use in there, right?
Okay. I'll play around with that.
Yeah, play around with that. And then, there's all these things that are very simple graphic tools. And it's a really good thing to play around with these things where you go, okay, you've got this and this and this. But then if I go this and this, that's a whole different expression, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Where if I go, now if I close these eyes, oops, hang on. And now raise these up, it starts to feel a little snootier, right?
Yeah.
You know, and you could do this just like this, okay? Because it'll help you. I think it'll help you a lot. You know, I can do this. Right? These are very simple childlike symbols, right?
Mm-hmm.
But look how simple it is to start to, like you could do, let's take this one and change the whole expression. Right? Or this one. Or this one. Let's do this one. Let's take these eyebrows now. Totally different expression, right? Like if I go, oops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So sometimes I literally run through those things just really childlike this and try and find that really simplified expression and then try and pull it into my character. Make sense?
It makes sense.
I really do think expression, you get more and more used to it, but you really got to run through these drills basically and fight for them a little bit and they'll get easier and easier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense now?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay, good. It's a little better. I think you got to do some more work on this kid, right?
How so?
Huh?
Or what should I do?
Well, I mean, right now it's still very childlike.
Okay.
You know, like just what I was, you know, how are you going to handle, how are the eyes going to be handled? Now, I know that, you can develop a very simple style. I get it. But right now I want you to push yourself into, that's later. Does that make sense?
Okay. Maybe just more expressive somehow.
Well, more information.
Okay.
Like these ears are really tiny. I can't even see them. Some little, like, even though it's cartoon anatomy, some sort of interest, right? You got to put some interesting shapes in there.
Okay.
There'd be a pull right there. There'd be a sleeve popping out a little bit right there. Maybe his shirt flips and his belly's hanging out a little bit. Just that sort of design, starting to break up the shapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's I mean, Charles Schultz could get away with that, but even he had a certain draftsmanship about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you want to kind of go, what's my kid's head shape? Is it like, if I'm basing it on kind of this idea, put his chin here and his nose here. And then like this bill, I'd probably maybe push it off over here so I can get a little flip on it. Put the seams on there. Then readjust. I always have to readjust. Here's his shirt. How am I going to handle his eyes? I don't like that big heavy line under his eyes. I still don't like his eyes. I'd have to figure that out. Eyebrows. So on and so forth, right?
Yeah. And then for the alligator, is it better now that he's like, that it reads that he's hiding?
Yeah, I think it's clear enough. I might just leave the background white like that.
Yeah, I did have originally something there, and then I tried looking.
No, I think that actually kind of works.
I actually like this face.
Yeah, and then maybe there's something on this rug. There's probably needs to be something.
Some sort of pattern.
Yeah, maybe a simple pattern or something like that, right? And by the way, I can go find a lot of people that do very simple rudimentary styles. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just trying to push you because, if you go in and do watercolor and all it is a couple of flat washes, it's not going to be very interesting, right?
Yeah, I get that.
You want to put some folds in there and some, blah, 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 right?
Okay.
If you haven't done a lot of watercolor, then I want you to come out of here at least kind of going, okay, I got a little bit of a handle on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the. Where's Natalie at?
Hello.
What are these on? Are they just on paper?
That's watercolor paper, like really cheap watercolor paper.
Oh, okay, that's good. If you get like, even sometimes, it depends on the kind of printer you have. What happened to my Zoom? Hang on. Oh, there it is. God, Zoom does some weird stuff. Like if you get 90-pound watercolor, you can usually run it through a printer.
Oh yeah, I think, let's see what I use. I printed on it.
Oh, you did? That's the way to do it, man.
It was 80 pounds actually, so even lighter.
Yeah, for this, it's fine. Now, for your final, you want 140.
Right, yeah.
Okay, everybody want you 140. Okay, don't use that 90-pound stuff. 90-pound stuff, I don't even like using it for sketching, to be honest with you. It gets too warpy.
Mm.
And again, if you're doing 300, you don't even have to stretch it. You guys got the video I gave you on stretching it and transferring your drawing, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and that all made sense, right?
Yes.
Okay, which one do you like?
I was thinking maybe the right middle.
This one here?
I'm not sure.
Let's look at them. I don't think I'd go this black on the hair.
Yeah, I went too dark on that one. That was my first.
Otherwise, you don't have anywhere to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and everything else. It washes everything else out.
Yeah. We'll figure out who else I can pick on in here. What do you guys think?
I really like the fourth one.
This one?
The middle one on the right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sitting a little bit back, and that one's the most interesting to me based on value.
My problem is this alligator is white.
Yeah. I think when you come in with the color, though, it could stand out that way, though, right?
Well,
because it's light against dark.
I know, but it's going to be a really light alligator.
Yeah.
There's albino alligators.
I know, that's what I was thinking. But and again, we're not doing realism, but we got to have enough in there that we know it's an alligator, right?
Yeah, so the order I do it, since I'm a lefty, I go from right to left. So I went from the bottom right around.
You know what else though? If you did this desk, like kind of a pale ochre color, because a lot of desks are that color, then this would still probably work. If you could just go a little darker on the alligator, and this is going to be a little lighter, so you kind of reverse that idea, but it's still going to look like wood.
I think the other one I like is the one above it, where the alligator's darker.
Okay, that's basically what I just said. So this could just be sort of an ochre wash with a couple of little purple hits.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
I think that because there will be some value on this table. It's just not going to be screaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'd go that direction.
Okay.
Because the alligator needs to have some value. The other thing could be an ochre wash or really light. I would do an ochre wash probably, or at least try it. And, it could be a lighter brownish wash. And if you guys, by the way, when you're using brown, don't go, oh, burnt sienna, and throw that all over everything. That drives me crazy. It almost never works. Okay. Almost never, right? You need to mix your own brown, and then you have to go, what temperature is that brown? Is it cool? Okay. It's cool. I'm going to go purplish with it. I'm going to mix in a little bit of It could be, you know, an actual yellow or a little yellow ochre to kill it, right? And then I'd have to decide like, okay, now it's getting a little brown. That's good. Do I want it a little more ochre-y? Do I want it a little more purpley? You know, and let one temperature sort of dominate it a little bit. Does that make sense? And that's just a complementary thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think it could be this one, but the alligator needs to get darker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, what you said I think would work.
Damn straight.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hmm? Get a few things on here, maybe. So make sure the room doesn't look so clinical. Okay.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to put more detail in. I keep focusing on just
Not
like the
detail.
basics.
It's not detail.
Okay.
It's shapes. You need enough. It's just the same thing we're just saying about piling shapes in the color process. You also got to have enough kind of shape and density of shape in the room so it feels like a real room.
Yeah.
Right. And always think of these things in your head, you guys. If you're doing a pose or if you're posing something, get up and pose it. Okay. Somebody's sitting in a chair. Don't just put them in a chair like this. Go, how would I sit in the chair? How do I sit in a chair? You know, I'm going to sit like this. I'm going to sit like this. I'm going to sit some way where I'm not fatigued. Nobody sits in a chair like this. Except Candace, Lou, who was no more than 2. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Really? Something I said made sense? Doesn't even make sense to me. Okay, I saw these. These are nice. Look at that.
Hey,
Yeah?
thank you.
Candace Lou who? Amelia Says?
Not right, but you know, you can keep trying, Mike.
Yeah, that's all I got is trying. Okay, so we decided on this one. Is this the one? Because this looks pretty damn good to me.
Yeah, I put that at the top because I liked it the best. Yeah.
Now you got to pull that off of watercolor.
I'm so scared.
No, you're not,
dude. Oh my gosh.
If you look, you guys, do
fail
this
so hard.
You know what I always used to do? I wish we were in class because it's so easy when I can walk you guys through all this, you know. But what I used to do, and part of the reason I like to have fast transfer techniques, is when I was in school or whatever, I'd go, if I screw this up, I have an insurance policy. I got 2 more sheets of watercolor. I got the drawing. I'll just transfer a drawing. I'll do it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I didn't want to get eaten alive in the crit because I screwed it up, you know. And what's your major?
Graphic design stuff, but I decided that I want to be Kim Jong-ji when I grow up, I think. Probably.
Okay. Yeah, he's an interesting character. He's built his whole career off that drawing on whiteboards, basically, right?
Yeah, I'm super depressed now that I just discovered him. So I've just been staring at his stuff.
You know what that is, right?
Days. Just life drawing. Right?
No, it's not even well, it's that too, but it's just basic shapes. Like
perspective, a lot of perspective.
And you know,
yeah, he's got that fish eye perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's just, and also if you notice, he tends to go, not always, but like when he's doing the big whiteboard drawings, he sort of lets them just crawl over the board, however they sort of end up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're cool, I get it, but don't think that's some unattainable thing. It's just shape language. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can make up almost anything out of your head once you understand shape really well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always hear people talking about that, and I go, "There's a lot of, that's not that unusual, actually. He's just kind of taken it and blown it up. You know what I mean? Be interesting to know how much money that guy makes, because he doesn't do anything but that, right?
That's what I was wondering too. Like, yeah.
And
absolutely.
he probably, because where's he from?
I don't know.
Korea.
Is it Korea?
South Korea.
Yeah, South Korea.
So probably in South Korea, Japan, and those two places especially, he's probably a rock star. You know what I mean? Because like Japan, I think South Korea too, but I don't know as much about South Korea. Japan, they know who a lot of like rock star illustrators are, and they're like super into them. You know, like Sorayama. There's a bunch of them, and some American illustrators. They really dig, like they appreciate it. Does that make sense? So there's probably like a market over there, and then he probably does a lot of cross collaboration with different companies or something. But he probably does pretty well. You know, and what's cool about that is he doesn't look like he answers to anybody.
I know,
which is cool. Anyway, this looks great.
All right, cool.
So now it's going to be about color comp. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Scared about that too, but yeah, I'll do it.
Don't be scared. By the way, you're a graphic designer. Why aren't you an illustrator?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted to be an illustrator, but I mean, I don't know. That's what I did all growing up as a kid, but then I just kind of lost it and got into graphic design. So maybe I will be an illustrator. I don't know, man.
Look,
you know what? Everyone tells me I won't make any money at it anyway. So
oh please.
I think that's what has.
Well, I know. You know why? You know what irritates me about that? Who am I talking to, by the way? It's Chris, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What irritates me about that, and I don't know if it was this class we had this conversation last time. When I hear that crap, it pisses me off because number one, you're not talking about like parents when I was a kid used to go, you want to be an artist? What are you, out of your mind? You're not living here until you're 40. We're not doing that. You know what I mean? Because they just thought, oh, you're just going to be some loser who makes paintings that nobody cares about. And it's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about there's an industry right in your backyard, like all kinds of industries. You're lucky. All you guys are lucky you live in this area because there is a ginormous industry here. Okay. Multi-billion-dollar industry. Everything in the room all of you are sitting in, every single thing in that room was designed by somebody, correct? Because it doesn't just have to be illustration. It could be product design, illustration, entertainment design, film design, animation, toys. I mean, on and on and on. It's a huge list. Okay. Don't let people tell you that kind of crap. Okay. Now, having said that, you have to get the skill set and you have to go out and kick some ass, you know, and go down and have a smart career. Okay. But that's not unattainable at all. Okay. It's not. Okay. This is an industry like any other industry. So I'm sick of it getting relegated to like what I just said, you know, oh, you never make a living at that. It's like, I had a teacher that told me that, by the way. I told you guys this, I think. I had a teacher who used to say that crap all the time. One time I go, dude, you didn't make any money at it. I'm gonna. You know what I mean? And maybe some other people in here are gonna. And you ought to stop being such a bitter, sad sack. It really gets old. You know what I mean? And
I had a business teacher that gave me shit for that.
Yeah, I don't get that. And it makes me furious because I look at that and I go, why are you teaching? Like, why are you teaching? If I didn't think anybody in this class could have a career, I would not be doing this. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Don't listen to that stuff. What you got to do is you got to work your ass off. You got to get really good, and you can do that. Okay? If I came into the school at like 28 or 29 and exited to Art Center, exited to Imagineering and all that crap, I could do that, and I was a total screw up, then you guys can do that. Does that make sense? I was a total screw up when I came to Fullerton. Totally. Unaccomplished. Never got anything done. Okay? And you guys aren't like that. You're all here. Does that make sense?
Nice.
Okay, so to take out of that, work your ass off and get good. And then you can have a career, right? And if you can draw like that, dude, and you're spending your time on graphic design, then you must be able to draw pretty good. You must have a pretty innate talent at doing it if you're not putting that much time into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that I would love to be an illustrator for sure.
And by the way, you can do both.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I think graphic design's cool, man. But like if you're a graphic designer and an illustrator, that's a really cool skill set.
I'll try to make that work then, yeah.
Huh?
I'll try to make it work then, yeah.
You can make it work. And right now, by the way, is a really good time to make that work because there's all sorts of crossover between graphic design and illustration and this and that and motion graphics and all this other stuff. Like eat all that stuff up and explore it while you're here while it's inexpensive, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it, you know. Take Brian's After Effects class. I think everybody should learn After Effects. You guys are insane if you don't learn that. Does that make sense? And I think you ought to learn Premiere. Okay?
Right,
okay, so what are we doing? We're doing color comps, and if you still need to do any value comps and adjust, we're doing that, and we're locking that up on Wednesday, yes? And we're doing our color comps in watercolor, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
You guys should all have your 3D glasses by the next class. Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Candace, why do you look so confused?
Mike, you missed one.
What do I
Cat.
do with my other glasses?
Just get rid of them. Who did I miss? Amelia.
Hello.
Who did I miss?
It looks like Dominique.
Oh, did I? I don't know how I do that. Oh, okay. I saw this one earlier. Okay, this keeps improving. Yeah?
Yeah, and I already know I kind of messed this one up. So, yeah.
Again, damn it. Just a couple of strategic mark making here folds. You know, it's going to be a fold probably there. Make sure this isn't, you know, put a dark thing where his pants wrap around his leg like that. It's going to be a fold there probably, maybe one here. You know, just get some, this is going to be, could be a little core right there in the hat. That's going out of frame, so that's fine. Loosen up these kids' heads a little bit. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then get a little more, again, this might be one where you just do what I said earlier and just lock the whole thing together with the gray value and start pulling out your values and adding your values, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
That way it'll lock together because right now we've got all this white space and basically just some value here and here.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you know what to do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. All right, you guys. So we're going to have color comps from everybody and our finish. If we need any more value comps, we'll have those, right?
Yep.
Yes. I have a quick question though.
What?
So if I want to, what do you mean though? If I want to put the alligator in space, no, I'm just kidding. How would you print the 11 by 17 drawing so that you can then do the tracing paper or light table thing? Because my paper at home is the standard leather paper size. Can you print this in like 2 halves?
Yeah,
Okay.
what I do, I just take 2 letter size things and I put them together.
Okay, because I'm thinking what I'm going to do.
I actually usually do it with like 3. And then what I do is I put it, if you don't have a light table, I use the slider.
I was going to use my window.
Actually, yeah.
Like
when I have a little light table here, but it doesn't work that well. I have my light tables at my studio at home, I think. Sometimes I'll do 3, so I know I have enough overlap and I have enough edge, you know. And what I do is I fold them. I actually have a video for something else. I'll put it up, and in the beginning of the video, I do that process. And then I put them over, I overlap them. I want to have enough to overlap. And then I line them up perfect. Just put a little piece of drafting tape, take a straight edge, I cut it, and then they line up perfect. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'll put a video up. Don't pay attention to the rest of it. I think it's just a video where I did something else. But just look at that part and that'll kind of explain it.
Okay.
And then, you know, and then I flip it over and tape it on the other side, not the side I'm working on.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. All right, you guys, I'll see you on Wednesday. Oh,
wait,
Amelia.
Mike, the painting is 2 11 by 8.5.
No, that if you put 2 and 11 and 8 by 8.5 together, you get a tabloid size of paper.
Okay.
Your
I
final-
thought it was 2. I thought it was two 11 by 17s. So that's what I did.
It goes right across it's a 2-page spread.
Okay. Okay, I gotta.
Well, if we already
downsize it.
approved it, it must be fine.
Oh, I mean, it's like twice as big.
Oh, well, you just shrink it down on the computer.
Okay.
That's what I would do. Or you could go a little bigger.
Can
I mean, as long as it's ratioed out right. Then it
it's
wouldn't
the
matter.
same ratio. It's just
Oh, if
twice
it's the
as
same
big.
ratio. I don't care.
Okay then.
Because actually going oversize is better because when you shrink it down a little bit, it gets tighter.
Okay, cool. Because
Yeah,
I
as
was
long as
like,
it's the ratio. I
shit.
don't care. It's just the ratio. Okay. All right, you guys. I'll let you go. Good job, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, you guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Later, alligator.
See you on Wednesday.
Hi, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Later, alligator.
Yeah.